Today, I'm going to reveal the unconscious psychological forces that are actively sabotaging your yoga progress and preventing you from finding that mental stillness that you so crave from your yoga journey. We're going to talk about the real enemy, which I guarantee is not what you think, and I'm going to share this powerful technique to reprogram your faulty beliefs that are holding you back. Now, a while ago, I used to think that working with beliefs and doing mindset work is just like woo-woo and like spiritual hippies do that, and I didn't really see any point in doing that. I just thought, if you act, it'll change your reality. But after understanding how powerful this stuff is, I completely changed my mind, and in fact, I made it the first module of my Yoga Mastery program, and I decided to not let anyone even do a single asana before they get this thing right. And after helping hundreds of students through the same exact sequence, I realized that, actually the physical practice is only like 10% of it, and 90% of the equation is actually up here. It's in working with your mindset. And today I'm going to be sharing the foundational lessons from that module. But before I start, I just want to say some of what I'm going to say might offend you. It might not be what you want to hear, because it will force you to confront some of these uncomfortable truths. And when I first heard about this, I was like, I didn't even want to do the work. I didn't even want to do the exercise. So I just want you to stick with me till the end, because if you're serious about transformation and you're still watching this and you're here, then I think you are. Then just remember to act on this after this video, not just consume more information, but to actually do the thing. So let's dive right in. The great psychologist Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate." And this is the core of what we're talking about today. You feel stuck, you blame your body, you blame your genes, you blame your schedule, all your family responsibilities, your energy levels, your work, and then you call it fate. You think that the universe is out to get you, but the truth is that your mind is running a program that you're not even aware of. And I didn't realize this, and when I did, when I actually noticed that I needn't push harder, I needn't stretch more, I needn't do more asanas, all I needed to do was like fix my thinking, fix my operating system, then the asanas just started getting unlocked. I started feeling more present in my practice, and I started seeing real shifts in the rest of my life. So that's why it's so important. Let's take a moment to visualize this. Right now, you're at your current state. Now, this isn't a bad thing. You've taken a lot of time and effort to reach here, but this is where your unconscious patterns and all your limitations live. Now, you want to get to a future state, a place where you have mental clarity, where yoga comes easy to you, you're able to flow through the asanas, and it doesn't feel like this strain, and you feel like you've got your well-being sorted. Now, if you already had everything that you need, you had the tools, you had the guidance, you had everything that you need, then you would have already achieved the thing. You would already be here at your future state. But if you're here still watching this, then it means that you haven't achieved the future state, you're not quite happy with your current state, and you don't know what to do or where to begin. In between is what we call the mindset gap. And this gap isn't empty. It's filled with challenges, with resistance, and with all the transformation that needs to happen to get you from where you are to where you actually want to be. And if we skip this resistance, if we don't go through the challenges, if we just say, I don't want all the pain, then we'll never achieve that future state. And the road to getting to that future state, unfortunately, is paved with resistance. It's paved with challenges. Whenever you pitch up a goal, the universe isn't there to just be like, okay, let me give you what you want. It's actually there to test you, to see if you have what it takes to achieve this transformation that you say you want. And most people see this gap as a problem. They see this as, this is why, it's not working, it's frustrating, it's uncertain. And especially as women, we don't like to feel powerless. We don't like to feel like uncertain. And so we try and fill it with different things instead of sticking with the same thing that we chose. And in fact, just sticking with one thing, and Ashtanga is a beautiful way to do this, is a good opportunity. It's the space to see where the real work happens. But first, before we even do anything, before we even act on it, is to recognize that there's a gap between where we are now and where we want to be. And sometimes it can be hard for us to even vision, like, what does life look like if I had more energy, if I woke up in the morning and I wasn't tired and I didn't start scrolling? What happens if I actually had a lighter, more like dynamic, flexible body? How would that impact my relationships? How would that impact the way I show up at work? And because we can't really see it in our mind's eye, we don't know what it would feel like or what it would take to get there. But regardless of where you are, what I do know is that it's going to take a little bit of pain. And if you're willing to go through the pain, then I guarantee you, you can achieve that future self. So what is this powerful, unseen force that lives under the bridge in this gap? Let's name it resistance. Let's call it what it is. Let's acknowledge it and say, hello, I see you. Because you need to understand that resistance is not something external. It's not your stiff hamstrings or your busy schedule or your noisy house. Resistance is an internal foe. It's an internal thing that you have to find because it shows up as doubts, it shows up as your fears, as your anxieties. And it's like that little voice in your head that says, I'm too tired, or I've had enough, or what will people think if I don't know how to do that pose? And its only purpose is to keep you safe. It's to keep you in your comfort zone, away from doing the real work that leads to growth, that leads to transformation. Because think about it. Any inanimate object, like your yoga mat just sitting in the corner collecting dust, that can't produce resistance in you. If I just told you right now, think of moving your left arm up. Put your left arm down. Move your right arm up. Move your right arm down. You'd easily be able to do that, right? There's no fear, there's no anxiety about it. But the minute I say practice full primary series 4 times a week, and only then you'll be able to actually suppress your mind's noisy thoughts and you'll be able to get real results. The reason you can't do that is subjective resistance, not objective resistance. And that's the real battle. And to conquer this, you have to start seeing these activities for what they are. It's just a collection of moving your limbs, breathing in and out, and doing simple things that your teacher asks you to do. Resistance is the part of you that sits on your shoulder, that craves that you just stay comfortable, that you stay who you are. Because that's the way the universe is, right? It wants to maintain the way that it is for as long as it can. And if you try to mold it, if you want to shape it, if you want to bend reality, then you've got to really, really do the work of overcoming that resistance. And your desired reality, that future state that you're looking for, is on the other side of this battle. And I can't tell you how long you're going to fight this battle, but I can tell you that it's going to be hard to be prepared for it, and not to wear rose-colored glasses around it and say, oh yeah, everything's going to be fine. Yoga is this beautiful, gentle thing that you can do and you'll feel amazing. No, yoga will create a lot of resistance in you. And if you can overcome it, if you do sit through the fire, then you will come out the other side a changed, transformed person. So how do we fight it? We have to understand that it's kind of like an operating system. It's really simple. You have the inputs, and this is your daily practice, the actions that you take, and these inputs are filtered through your beliefs. For many, some core unconscious beliefs include life is chaotic, I'm not disciplined enough, and I just can't do yoga. And these beliefs that we hold create outputs. In this case, a lack of mental stillness, a frustration, and an inconsistent practice. But there are 2 other crucial elements that we often miss. You have the environment, which is the shala within, this concept that I developed to kind of talk about just this internal mental space that we all have, where all of this plays out. And crucially, we have a feedback loop. And for many of us on this journey, we don't have the guidance, we don't have the structure, we don't have the community. And so we're not getting the feedback, we're not closing this loop. And what happens is that we're in our heads and we end up doing wrong things or developing bad habits. So it's really important that the feedback that you get from a teacher or a mentor or even reading books, this feedback is essential for challenging the beliefs and for adjusting the inputs. So you can read the outputs, see what's happening, readjust your inputs, change the quality of your inputs, and work on your beliefs, see if those beliefs can be changed. And finally, you'll realize, wow, my outputs are better. I'm able to feel stronger. I have more mental stillness during the day. I can feel my breath. And none of this happens if you don't understand this overall operating system. Now, it's time to get brutally honest. Your operating system has been running on faulty code. And these are your limiting beliefs. I'm going to put up 30 common ones, things that I see every day in my classes, in my program, all my clients, every single day. They give me this. So if you're one of them, I'm sorry if I'm calling you out. But the first one is like, I'm a man, yoga is feminine, I'm just trying to get back into the gym right now. And once I have that routine in place, then I can add in yoga. I feel totally unmotivated and I have no energy to do yoga. I need a private teacher to come home so that I can feel like I can, be supported and I can do yoga. I'm just waiting for this big project to be over and then I'll have the time and then I can commit to your program. And all of these beliefs, I just want you to take them and I want you to pause the video right now and I want you to take a screenshot. Take the screenshot and watch just which of these 30 excuses or reasons or beliefs actually resonate with you. Don't just glance over them. Don't just skip this and be like, oh yeah, I'll come back to it later. I'm listening to this while I'm doing something else. No, stop. Right now, really feel them, really do this work. It's super important. Which come to your mind immediately, which jump up to you, and which ones are you trying to defend? Just write them down and be honest. No one is watching, no one is judging. This is a moment where you actually confront your shadows, you confront those beliefs, and start making the unconscious conscious. And if you ignore me and you just say, oh yeah, she's just yapping on, I'm just consuming this information while I'm doing the dishes or doing something else, stop, pause the video right now. I'm going to wait until you do it. If you actually had the courage to do that exercise, you've just taken a massive step. You've identified the enemy. You stared it in the face. But here's the good news. Resistance is beatable. Not with force, not with punishment. You can't hustle your way out of it. You can't force your way out of it with just sheer willpower. You beat resistance with the opposite. You beat this pain with love, with assistance, and with kind of feeling the pain fully. To let it move through you, let it crash and let it do its thing. The pain of staying the same must be like so almost like disgusting to you that you want to change, that you want to look at these beliefs and be like, wow, I need to do something about this. And you must approach your practice with like just a sense of love and compassion, because what you're seeing now is who you are now. But you can get the assistance. You can use my frameworks. You can use all the videos to actually take yourself from where you are now to where you want to be. Because all these statements that you just wrote down, I want you to invert them. You're going to create a new empowering belief. So for example, if your belief was, I'm just too exhausted all the time and I don't have any energy to do yoga, then your new inverted statement would be, moving my body and doing yoga gives me an abundance of energy. And you might not believe that now. If you say that to yourself, you might be like, that sounds ridiculous. But slowly over time, you'll realize this will be the new OS. This will be the new operating system. And if your belief was like, oh, I don't like doing yoga in a room full of people online, I think they're better than me, and I don't really, I'm not sure about online, then your inverted statement is, I'm inspired by others. I'm grateful I can do this at home, and my presence contributes towards the group's energy. So when you actually just even write that down, you'll notice there's a little bit of like, I don't really like what's written down. But in order to make that stick, in order to actually make this make sense to you, you need to combine this sentence with a powerful image. This image must be like this vision of you living that reality. And it needs to be combined with a positive emotion. So it's not just the statement, it's statement plus emotion plus image. And this is what really creates the shift. Now, I want you to read these empowered statements to yourself twice a day, as soon as you wake up and as soon as you sleep. Now, this is my doctor's prescription to you. But if you don't do this, if you don't re-imprint this enough, then it'll just be an empty affirmation. It'll be like every other thing that every other influencer asks you to do. But this is different. Because you've taken the effort to actually identify your specific thing, you can now invert it and really rewrite your new mental state. And this brings us to the real work, the path forwards. So first, you recognize the forces. You realized it was just resistance. You defined the gap where you are and where you want to be. You've done that today by just identifying the limiting beliefs and seeing where you are and really understanding that current situation. And then you want to like have a future emotion. You want to know like where you are, what you're doing in the future when you've achieved that mental stillness or whatever it is that's your ideal state. You've brought those unconscious like forces into awareness. You've written them down and then you've inverted them. Now now it's time to transform these habits. By reading these new statements every day and taking small aligned actions, you replace all this like reactivity whenever you're like tired and you can't do practice with mindful routines, structures in your life, community, support, guidance that will actually stabilize this operating system. And you maintain this new mindset through consistent practice and getting the feedback and actually rewriting your narrative of what you feel about yoga. And this is how you build lasting change. I'm not making this up. I've seen this happen time and time again because the journey of yoga is a journey inward. The poses, the breathing, all of these things are just tools to help you navigate your own mind. And the resistance that you feel today, it's not a sign to stop. It's not that it's too hard. It's a sign that you're on the right track. It's a sign that something is working. The framework I shared with you today is the absolute foundation of the deep work that we do inside the Yoga Mastery program, where we guide students step by step through this entire process of transformation. So if you're ready to stop fighting yourself and start making real progress, I'll put a link in the description below where you can book a call and we'll figure out if it's a right fit. You can learn more about the program. But even if it's not for you, you just made up your mind that you don't do things on the internet or like you have your own yoga teacher, just take what I said to you today and apply it in your own practice. And it need not be limited to your yoga practice. It can be applied to even the rest of your life. So choose one belief, invert it, and start to read it daily, and watch how your entire world on and off the mat really starts to shift. So thank you so much for your time and your attention and your courage to do this work. Not a lot of people would have paused the video and actually done the work. So if this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are a small channel and we're trying to grow. I'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment below. And which faulty belief did you work on? Tell me if you have any suggestions for the next video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.